Hello everyone, welcome back once again. This side your home science teacher Jasneet Kaur. If you are watching my video for the first time, then don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. To receive notifications related to home science subject of class 11th and 12th, you can press the bell icon as well. In this video, we will continue our leftover topic of chapter 11 of class 11th, which is survival, growth and development. This video will be part 2. In the last video, we have understood topics till physical development. To know the link of part 1, click on the description box below, or you can click on the eye icon on top right corner of your screen. So without further delay, let's begin. In the continuation to what we were discussing earlier, now let's talk about motor development. Motor development is considered as the development of bones and muscles, which is further divided into two categories: fine motor development and gross motor development. Gross motor development is related with the development of large bones. Example, bones of legs, arms, and whole skeletal. These large muscles help the child to run, hop, balance on one foot, throw and kick ball, climb, or helps in performing any other activity which involves large muscles. Whereas fine motor development is the development of small bones, like bones of toes, fingers, ears. Small bones helps the child to pick up a crayon, hold the crayon and move it on a surface. In NCERT book, table is given in which, according to the age, what all milestones should be achieved are mentioned clearly. Like, if you look at the infant of 3 months, he should be capable enough to hold his head. Similarly, a child which is of 10 to 11 months should start standing independently. A child who belongs to the age of 18 to 24 months, which is 2 years, must climb the stairs, placing both feet on each step if hand is held by someone. If I talk about the age of 8 to 10 years, the same child must become proficient in balancing, coordination, and developing strength that allows him to participate in various games and activities which involves lot of physical tasks. Moving on to the next development, that is language development. It is the process by which children come to understand and communicate language during initial years of their life. In the process of language development, child initially learns pre-linguistic sounds like crying, cooing, and babbling. These are considered as the foundation of language development. Here, if you look at your screen, you will see in the given table at the age of 2 months, the child cries, coos, and grunts. By the time that similar child reaches to 6 months, he or she starts responding towards his own name. Later, by the age of 12 months, the child starts using 2 or 3 words. By the age of 18 months, the vocabulary of the child improves, where the child can use between 5 to 20 words. By the age of 5 years, the child can count till 10 and speech is completely understandable. The pronunciation might not be perfect, but he will be capable enough to express himself with words. By the age of 8 years, the child can converse pretty well. The level of conversation goes more at adult level. He can tell complicated stories of past events and can easily use complex and compound sentences. I hope students you are making notes of these developments in your notebooks. Understanding of all these developments will definitely help you in building stronger relationship with your younger ones. Now let's continue. Moving on to the socio-emotional development. It is the process of gaining the knowledge and skills which are required to interact successfully with others. In the initial years of human life, for building strong relationships, it is necessary to have attachment with the primary caregiver. Primary caregiver is the one who is available to take care of the child all the time, or who is constantly taking care of the child 24/7. For building strong attachment in the initial years, child definitely require physical contact with the primary caregiver, that is mother, because the child recognizes his mother through her body smell, voice, mutual gazing, means directly looking into the eyes. From birth to 6 weeks, baby shows no particular attachment to specific caregiver. By the age of 6 weeks to 7 months, infant begins to show preference for primary and secondary caregivers. That is why you must have seen babies stop crying the moment their mother pick him or her in her arm. After 7 months, the infant shows strong attachment with the primary caregiver. And by the 10 months of age, he starts bonding with other caregivers. In other caregivers, we can take the example of grandparents, siblings, relatives, or any other person who is there to take care of the child. If the attachment of the child with his mother is strong and positive, the child will feel safe and confident enough to explore his surroundings. Also, the child will start having faith in his abilities. Whereas, if the bond with mother is negative in the initial months, the bond can be negative when mother is least concerned towards the baby. If she remains irritable, distant, inactive towards taking care of the needs of the child, in that case, child will feel rejected and suffer from emotional isolation, and will also feel stressed and scared of himself as well as of his surroundings. Secure relationship of the child with his immediate caregiver or adults in the family develops a feeling of trust in the mind of the child. Secure infant cries less, cooperates even more with adults. On the other hand, if I talk about relationship of the child with his father, for building strong relationships, father definitely needs to spend qualitative time with the child. Spending qualitative time with the child builds strong relationship between father and the child. Now talking about the emotions which children experience at the initial years of their life, it can be joy, sadness, anger, fear, happiness, and excitement. But specifically, it needs to be highlighted that around the 6 months of age, the child shows stranger anxiety. Stranger anxiety means fear of unknown people. In other words, we can say that children are scared of the people whom they are not attached with, or to whom they don't recognize. This anxiety is at its peak at the age of 8 to 12 months, and it gets disappear around when the child is at the age of 15 to 18 months. After stranger's anxiety, the other anxiety emerges, that is separation anxiety. It is concerned with the fear of being separated from the parents or from the immediate caregiver with whom they are attached to. This is the reason the little ones gets disturbed when their mother or caregiver is out of sight. This phase is at its peak around 12 to 18 months of age and disappears around 20 to 24 months of age. Now after this, let's talk about one of the most important topic, that is the types of parenting style. Parenting styles is the process of raising the child or bringing up the child, also known as child rearing. While talking about the ways of parenting, we generally consider different patterns like authoritarian, authoritative, permissive, and uninvolved parenting. As per the first parenting style, which is authoritarian, in this, parents are more controlling, strict, stern, and disciplined. They are more punishment oriented than focusing on the rewards. Parents who belongs to this category believes in setting rules and being strict with the children with no love and affection. In this kind of parenting, children are not allowed to speak in front of their parents, or children are not allowed to express themselves at all. Children of authoritarian parents remain at the risk of developing low self-esteem because of their opinions are never valued. Compared to other children, they are more likely to develop aggressive personality. As parents are strict and more punishment oriented, their children might develop as good liars in an effort to avoid punishment. Talking about second type of parenting style, authoritative parenting. In this, parents are responsive, they show strictness and leniency both whenever required. Parents who falls into this kind of parenting allows open communication, or we can say children are allowed to express themselves. Children who are raised with this kind of parenting style tend to be friendly, energetic, cheerful, self-reliant, self-controlled, curious, cooperative, and goal-oriented. This style is considered to be one of the best parenting style. Moving on to third pattern, that is permissive parenting style. In this, parents are caring but they are not at all strict. This parenting style allows open communication as parents share friendly relationship with their children. In this, parents are warm but are negligent. Children who are raised by parents who followed this type of parenting tend to be rebellious, aimless, dominating, aggressive, and low in self-reliance, self-control, and achievement. The last category of parenting style is neglected parenting or uninvolved parenting style. Parents who follow this kind of parenting style are usually detached and show neither strictness nor warmth, but they will be concerned towards the basic needs of the child. Generally, the parents who follow this kind of parenting style have their own relationship issues, mental health issues, or they suffer from substance abuse or financial stress. They don't create any boundaries for the children, and children have access to everything and they have excessive freedom. In such category, children tend to have low self-esteem and little self-confidence. They sometimes try to substitute their neglectful parents with role models. This is one of the most harmful parenting style in psychology. The last topic for today, relationship with siblings and peers. Peers are friends or people of same age group. After parents, siblings are the ones who take care of each other in the need of the hour. If the siblings are close to each other, they feel equality, friendship, and liberty amongst each other, which will further promote emotional support and care. Older siblings can set standards which younger ones can follow. This you might have observed in your family also many times, like comparison with the elder sibling or with the younger one in terms of scoring higher marks in the exam or handling responsibilities in efficient way. In many families, siblings share relationship which has conflicts, domination, competition, rivalry and jealousy, which eventually gets better once the children crosses adolescence age. Otherwise, parents can play important role in creating a bond between them. Talking about peers, they play important role as in friendship children plays, fight and share secret, thus they contribute to his or her social and emotional development. That's all for today, students. In our next video, we will talk about stages of cognitive development given by Jane Piaget. So make sure you all stick around. You can check out the links of previous and upcoming videos in the description box below. To check out the other chapters of class 11th and 12th, visit my channel and check out the playlist. I hope whatever we have covered so far is clear to you all. Still, if you come across any doubt, feel free to ask in the comment section below, or you can clear your doubts in the online session. I hope to see you soon. Till then, bye-bye and take care.